Great, so welcome to the next Fit Sit class. We'll be using an orange ball as well as the sticks just to do some footwork again. So please come to sit towards the front edge of your chair and check it as ever that you're, if you discover that you're tending to round back towards the back of your chair, then think of pushing out the lower tummy just to help you lift up onto the sit bones. So if you need to rest back into the chair, that's fine, but if possible you're trying to be away from the back of the chair. And then check that your feet and knees are about hip distance apart and that your knees are truly over your heels. So the idea being that I should be able to come and sit on your knee and without it collapsing, so that idea. And then bring your attention to your right knee and begin to just tilt the knee a little bit to the outside and to the inside. So just exploring easy range of motion, but noticing how as we move the knee, this movement is coming in the hip joint, but the pressure underneath the foot is changing to the big toe side and then the little toe side. And then please bring your attention to your left knee and begin to tilt the left knee a little bit to the outside and a little bit to the inside. So just gently tilting and then again just noticing how the contact underneath the foot, we're not doing anything to the foot specifically, but the contact is changing to the outside and to the inside. And then pause, keep your right hand resting on the knee, and think this time, can you lift the big toe side of the foot and then the little toe side of the foot, keeping the knee fairly still in space. So before we were changing the pressure by tilting the knee, this time we're more focusing on a movement in the ankle, lifting once the big toe side of the foot and then the little toe side of the foot. And then pause, bring your attention to your left foot and begin to lift the big toe side and then the little toe side of the left foot, but keeping the knee fairly still in space. Good. And then pause, and then bring the orange, well, if it is orange, the ball that you're using underneath the right foot. And then just roll the ball forward, so towards the heel, towards the toes, but just putting a little bit of pressure down into the ball. And careful that you go all the way to the tips of the toes, all the way to the heel, just going backwards and forwards, giving it a little bit of pressure. And then begin to focus on rolling the ball from the big toe to the heel, or the heel to the big toe. So just clarifying that line from the heel to the big toe, and then make the focus from the heel to the little toe side of the foot. So just rolling the ball forward and back, keeping a downward pressure into the ball, and then make the focus from the heel to the three middle toes. Heel to the three middle toes and all the way to the tips of the toes if you can. And then pause with the ball about halfway along the sole of the foot, and then as you roll the ball towards you, bring the heel down, and as the ball rolls away, think it's the tips of the toes going to the floor. So heel down as you bring the ball towards you, toes down as the ball goes away, just going backwards and forwards a few times. That's it, heel down as the ball comes towards you, toes down as it goes away. And then pause, just notice how that right foot feels compared to the left, and then bring the ball underneath the other foot. And then you're just rolling the ball without being too fussy, just giving a little bit of downward pressure. In particular, trying to catch the toes, the tips of the toes as well. and then make the focus from the heel to the big toe, so just rolling along that line, and then change the focus from the heel to the little toe, just going forward and back, and then make the focus from the heel to the 3 middle toes, just going forward and back, and then pause, but make sure the ball is more or less in the middle of the foot. And then as you roll the ball towards you, bring the heel down, and as the ball rolls away, think it's the toes going down. Heel down as it comes towards you, toes down as it goes away from you, heel and then toes a few more times. Good. And then pause, just put the ball to one side for a second, and then bring your attention to your right heel and lift the heel high. Take it to the outside and put it down, and then lift the heel high and bring it to the inside and put it down. To the outside and down, to the inside and down, and as you're doing this, make sure you're allowing the knee to tilt in the opposite direction to the movement of the heel, so that we're getting movement in the hip joint too. And then pause, bring your attention to your left heel, lift it high, take it to the outside and put it down, and then lift it high and bring it to the inside and put it down. To the outside and down, to the inside and down, once more to the outside and then the inside, and then lift both heels, take them to the one side and then to the other side. One side, other side, again one side and other side, like a kind of skiing movement, letting the knees tilt in the opposite direction to the heels. Good. And then come to centre. Keep your right foot flat along on the floor, and then just slide it as far forward as you can, keeping the toes down. And then bring it straight back, as if you're painting a line on the floor, just going straight forward and straight back. So you have to make sure that your toes aren't sort of turned out to the side or the heel turned in, just going straight forward and straight back. The only constraint being you keep the foot flat, and then begin to go side to side, as if you're just pushing something away. So it's not the heel leading or the toes leading, just straight to the side, straight to the inside, straight to the side, straight to the inside, and then begin to make a circle. So as big, as generous a circle as you can, and then just reverse the direction of those circles. Good. And then pause, bring your attention to your left foot, and first of all, again, we're just painting a line straight forward and then bringing it straight back. Straight forward, straight back, once more forward and back, and then go side to side. So again, not the heel leading, not the toes leading, it's the little toe side just pushing out parallel, and then the big toe side coming in, just side to side, and then begin to make this into a big circle. Again, just being very fussy to keep the sole of the foot flat against the floor, and then just reverse the direction of those circles. Good. And then you may just need to hold your chair for a little bit of support. See if we can make 2 circles going in opposition to each other, and then reverse the direction of those circles. Good. And then pause, bring your right foot slightly forward compared to the left, and then lift the 5 toes and spread them as you do that, and then lift the ball of the foot. Put the ball of the foot down and then the toes. So toes just lifting first, so you're just trying to differentiate the toes from the ball of the foot. Then lift the ball of the foot, bring the ball of the foot down, and then the toes. So toes spreading, ball of the foot down, and then toes. And then lift the front of the foot, and then begin to make the circles leading with the big toe, but allowing the movement to travel freely into the knee and into the hip joint, and then just reverse the direction of those circles. Still leading with the big toe, and then pause and now think it's the little toe side of the foot that's leading the movement. Good, and then just reverse those circles. Good, and then pause, switch feet so it's left foot is forward, and then lift just the 5 toes, try to spread them apart as you do that, and then put them back down. So just lifting and spreading and back down, lifting and spreading, and then follow with the ball of the foot. Just put the ball of the foot down and then the toes. So toes come first, ball of the foot down, and then the toes, and then keep the front of the foot lifted, and then begin to make some circles with the big toe leading. As if turning the dials of a clock with the big toe, which gives me the opportunity to remind you all the clocks are changing this weekend. Good. And then pause, think it's the little toe side of the foot leading the circles. Good. And then just reverse the direction of those circles. Good. And then come back to centre. Now just try to press down the big toes and lift the 4 smaller toes. And then try to press down the 4 smaller toes but lift the big toe. So you're pressing down the big toes to lift the 4 smaller toes, pressing down the 4 smaller toes to lift the big toes, good, and then release. Bring the feet and knees together, sandwich your hands between the knees, and then just see, can you take the toes apart, put them down, and then bring them back together. Toes, back together, toes go wide and back together, and now the heels go wide and back together. Heels and back together, heels and back together, and then alternate toes, heels, toes, heels, once more toes, and then heels, and then just release your hands back onto the thighs, and then we'll do our funny walking exercise. So you kind of take the toes apart, allowing the knees to separate. Then you take the heels wide and the knees fall in. Toes go wide as the knees separate. Heels go wide, and then maybe toes again. Bring the toes back, the heels back, the toes back, the heels back, the toes. And then the next time we'll lead with the heels going wide first. Then the, excuse me, the toes, the heels, the toes. Bring the toes back, the heels back, toes back, heels back. And then just separate the feet and knees again for a moment. And with your right hand, just begin to caress down the lower leg towards the floor, and then caress it back up the leg. So you allow the head to go, so that you're reaching down the outside of the lower leg. If you can touch the floor, so much the better, but don't strain to do that. And then down the inside of the lower leg, letting the head go, and then down the back of the lower leg too, and then come back up. With your left hand, begin to caress down the front of the lower leg. Again, if you can touch the floor, so much the better. Bring down the outside of the lower leg, come back, down the inside of the lower leg and come back, and then down the back of the lower leg too, coming back up. And then have your right hand on the left lower leg, and then begin to caress down the front of the lower leg. Again, if you can reach the floor, great, but just to where you comfortably can, to the outside of the lower leg, to the inside of the lower leg, and then down the back of the lower leg too, and then come back up. Bring your left hand onto the right knee and begin just to caress down, come back up, down the outside of the lower leg and come back up, down the inside of the lower leg and come back up, and down the back of the lower leg too, and then come back up. Good. Now have both hands on each knee, And just see how far can you slide both hands down the lower legs, letting the head go and then slowly coming back up. So it's both hands sliding down, allowing the head to go and then come back up. Good. And then once more, both hands sliding down the lower legs. Good. And then come back up to sitting. Good. Bring your attention to your shoulders with your arms just comfortably down by your side, and then lift your shoulders up to the ears, roll them forward and down and squeeze them together behind. So you come up towards the ears, roll them forward and down, squeeze together behind, and then just as you trace a few more of these circles with the shoulders, just again be careful you're not substituting elbows. It's very common to keep the shoulders kind of gripped and try to do these from the elbows. So it's the shoulders, and then just reverse the direction of these circles. Good. And then pause. Please interlace the hands super softly. Bring the heel of the hands together, and then just think you're wrestling the wrists around each other. And then just take the hands a little bit off to the side as you continue the movement. Bring them back to the middle, off to the other side. Good. Come back to centre. And then just change whichever index finger you've got on top. Just change it. And then again, just begin to wrestle the wrists around each other. Good. And then pause. Bring your right arm forward. So thumb is up, and then turn the thumb down. Bring your other hand forward, turn that thumb down, and then cross the hands over, interlace the fingers, and then just see if you can bring the hands to touch your nose and away. Just a few times to the nose and away, and then towards one ear and away, and then towards the other ear and then away. And then pause in the middle, and whichever hand you've got on top, change it so it's the other hand on top. And then thinking, can you bring the hands towards the nose a couple of times, towards one ear, and then away, and then towards the other ear. Good. And then away. And then have your right hand on your tummy. And then just begin to slide the hand up towards the breastbone. So as I do that, the elbow lifts. And it's the back of the hand that comes on to towards the breastbone and then down. So just bring it up the middle of the body towards the breastbone. Good. And then back down. And then the next time you bring it up to the breastbone, stay there, and then just move the hand a little bit left and right. So the fingers are pointing down, the palm is facing me, it's the back of the hand that's just brushing the chest. Good. And then pause with the hand in the middle of the breastbone, just cup your right elbow with the left palm, and then just think you're just pushing the elbow forward into the palm and then back from the palm. Just forward and back. So it's not a big movement, it's just sort of teasing a little bit of movement out of that shoulder blade. Good. And then pause, leave that alone, and then have your left hand just on your tummy to begin with. Begin to slide the hand up the front of the body towards the breastbone and then away. Just coming up, palm is facing forward, back of the hand kind of turns towards the chest. And then stay with the hand more or less in the breastbone, and then just move the hand a little bit left and right, as if you're going towards one armpit and then into the other armpit. Good. And then stay with the hand sort of fixed on the breastbone, cup the left elbow with the palm of the right hand, and just think you're just very gently nudging the elbow forward and back, forward and back. Good. And then leave that alone. Just give the hands, the arm a little bit of a shake. Good. And then please take hold of your stick. I have the yellow one today. Yeah. Good. And then have the stick in your right hand to the side and have a comfortable high grip on the stick. So, and then just make sure you separate the feet and knees a little bit more. And check before we start, the hand is soft, the elbow is soft, the shoulder is soft. And then just reach the stick out to the side, following it with the head. And then come back to centre. So just reaching the stick out to the side, following it with the head. As you reach the stick out to the side, just carefully again, you're not locking into the elbow or the shoulder, and then come back. So just a reminder, we're bringing the weight onto the right sit bone, but we're doing it through tilting the spine by letting the head follow the stick. Good. So the next time you reach following with the head, allow the stick to linger and think your head is lifting up as if you're going to head a football up and over to the left. And as the head begins to travel away from the stick, it will eventually cause your spine to side bend and bring you back onto two sit bones. So you follow with the head, allow the stick to linger, and as the head begins to lift, it's allowing those ribs underneath the right armpit, left armpit, to soften. So once more, lifting up through the head to come back. Good. So now the next time, we're going to try and keep the head in the middle. So do you remember the idea? There is a grape underneath the right sit bone, and it's the idea we're going to pour our weight, squash that grape, the stick moves out to the side, but keep the head in the middle. The left shoulder lowers and then come back to centre. So you're thinking you're starting this movement by pouring weight down into the right sit bone to bring the weight onto the right and then come back to centre. Once more. Good. Come back to centre. And then begin to include turning the head to the left as you bring the weight onto the right, come back to centre, again turning the head to the left, and then come back to centre. Just a few more times so you can synchronise the turning of the head with the shift of weight. And then the next time, stay looking forward, once more bring the weight onto the sit bone, the right sit bone, and just check it is true that your weight is on that sit bone, and you know it's true because you can slide your left hand underneath the left buttock easily, and then bring the left hand back onto its thigh. So we're still on the right sit bone, and see, can you move the left knee straight forward and straight back. It's going straight forward and straight back, and of course it means it's the pelvis. We're pivoting around the right hip joint. The left side of the pelvis is coming forward and back. Good. And then come back to centre. And then the next time you side bend to the right, turn the head and eyes to look towards the top of the stick. And then come back. So you're bringing the weight onto the right, but this time you're turning, and the chin lifts up and the back of the head is moving backwards. It's as though you're moving the head away from the stick as you're bringing the weight onto the right. So once more, turn, lift the head, and it's as though you're moving the head away from the stick as you look to it, and then come back to centre. Let's do one more. Looking to the top of the stick, you'll feel that folding in of the ribs again on the left hand side. Good. Now pause, keep the stick in the same hand, but bring it on the first diagonal, the first angle I call it in the book, coming out shortly, hopefully. Have the stick in front of the left thigh, the right thigh even, sorry, a comfortable grip on the stick, and then begin to reach the stick away from you and look to the top of the stick, and then come back to centre, pushing out the tummy, so you feel as you're looking up, the weight is shifting onto the right sit bone, you're allowing the tummy to push out, and the left sit bone, as long as you reach far enough, is becoming light. So you begin to think you can begin this movement not so much from the stick pulling you into place, but you're starting the movement from your middle and coming back from your middle. Just do one more. Good. And then come back to centre. Now pause, keep the stick in the same hand, but bring it across onto the other diagonal, so we're crossing the midline here. And then begin to reach the stick to the far corner of your room, pushing out the tummy, looking up towards the top of the stick, and then come back. So provided you reach the stick far enough, there will come a moment when your right buttock becomes light. Bye-bye. But rather than the stick pulling you into place, can you begin to think of pushing out the tummy? So you're really beginning this movement from your middle and coming back from your middle, without any need to stiffen the arm or the hand or the shoulder, and then coming back. Good. Now, the next time you reach to the far corner, stay there and tilt the head to look towards the thumb side of the stick and then towards the knuckle side of the stick. To the thumb side of the stick, to the knuckle side of the stick, tilting the head effectively left and right on the diagonal. See if you can feel what happens to the spine as you do that, and then come back to centre. Pause with the stick in your middle, with the bottom of the stick not too close to you, but directly away from you. The stick is dividing you into left and right halves, and begin to reach the stick straight forward, keeping your nose lined up with the stick. And you'll feel, if you can do that, there's a deep folding in of the ribs on the right hand side, shifting your weight over to the left. Good. So the next time, tilt the head as if you wanted to see around the stick to the knuckle side of the stick. So you're tilting the head over to the right, and then come back, tilting the head over to the right, and then come back. Good. And then pause, pick a new spot for the bottom of your stick, just somewhere off centre, and then begin to make some pyala. So big circles, allowing this movement there again to come from your middle rather than just waving the arm around. Feel there's that shifting of weight. Reverse the direction of these circles. Good. And then pause, and then please bring the stick into your left hand. Comfortable high grip on the stick to the side. Make sure the feet and knees are wide enough, and then begin to tilt, so reaching the stick out to the side, following with the head, and come back. Just tilting. This is our crude way of transferring weight onto the left hand side. It's cruder in the sense that we're allowing the head to go outside the base of support. So the next time you tilt to the left, see if you can pause there with the stick, allow the head to begin to lead the journey up and over till eventually your weight lands back onto the two sit bones. So you follow the stick with the head, begin to lift up through the head to bring you back onto two sit bones, just beginning to kick start that possibility of your spine side bending to help bring the head back to centre. So the next time you reach the stick, see if you can keep the head over the chair. So you think of the head going up and over slightly as you bring the weight onto the left sit bone and then come back to centre. So your grape, you're squashing the grape underneath the left sit bone, keeping the head in the middle and then coming back. Once more squashing the grape underneath the left sit bone and then come back. And then combine this with turning the head to look to the right a few times. Again, so the initiating still the movement from the pelvis, but incorporating the turning of the head. Good. And then the next time, stay looking forward. So you still bring the weight onto the left side. Check the hand is soft, the elbow is soft, the shoulder is soft. And then check it's true that you truly are on your left sit bone. You know that's true because you can slide your right hand easily underneath the right buttock. And then just stay here and move your right knee forward and back. Straight forward and straight back. Good. And then come back to centre. Good. Now, the next time you reach the stick out to the side, turn to look towards the top of the stick and then come back to centre. So you're bringing the weight onto the left, turning the head, but as you turn the head to look towards the stick, think of the head is moving away from the stick. So in other words, the chin lifts, the back of the head tilts back and then come back to centre. So as though you're looking down your nose at the top of the stick and then come back. Looking down the length of your nose to the top of the stick and then come back to centre. Pause, bring the stick onto the first ankle, to the left hand corner of the room, and then begin to reach the stick far away from you, looking to the top of the stick and then come back. So you're pushing out the tummy to reach the stick away, coming back, feeling how it's the right buttock that's lifting. Good. And then come back. And then one more, just checking your hands stay soft, the elbows stay soft, the shoulders stay soft. Bring the stick onto the other angle, crossing the midline, and then begin to reach the stick far away from you, looking to the top of the stick if possible as you do so. Beginning to initiate this movement from the centre, reaching it away. Good. And then the next time you reach it away, stay there, reaching away, and see if you can tilt the head to look to the knuckle side and then to the thumb side of the hand. Knuckle side, thumb side, keeping the stick in place, one side and then the other, come back to centre. Nice folding in of the ribs. Have the stick in the midline, right in the middle, and then begin to reach the stick away from you and then come back. So keeping it lined up with the nose initially, and you'll feel, what happens, there's a folding in of the ribs on the left hand side. So now the next time, tilt the head deliberately to the left as if you wanted to see the backs of the knuckles and then come back. Head, as though you're looking around the stick towards the knuckle side of the stick, reaching it away. Good. And then come back to centre. Good. And then pick a new spot for the bottom of the stick. Again, have it somewhere off centre. And then begin to make some paella over here. But again, the object of the paella exercise, the circles, is really for this to come from your centre. Good. And then pause rest the stick against, the top of the stick is resting against my right thigh near the groin, and the bottom of the stick is pointing away from me, actually. So the bottom of the stick is pointing away from me. And go carefully, just see, can you bring your left foot to rest on the stick and then bring it back off. So, as you know in this class, for many people, just bringing the foot on the stick is quite a challenge in itself, and if that's the case for you today, then that's all you need to practice. But if you are able to keep the foot resting on the stick, please do so. And then begin to slide the foot up the stick. And as you do so, try to turn the sole of the foot towards you. So as if you wanted to see what's on the bottom of the stick, of the shoe, foot. And then slide the foot down and away from you. And as you slide the foot away, flex the heel, push the heel away from you. So you bring the foot up, looking to the sole of the foot, and then push it away. So it can be a small movement, this, just an inch or so up the stick and away, but see if you can allow, as the foot comes up, the knee turns out. As the foot goes away, the knee comes in. So you're trying to synchronize that movement of the knee with the foot. And if you get a bit braver with the foot coming up higher and lower, notice how there's a shift of weight through the pelvis. So as the foot comes up, I'm on 2 sit bones. As the leg kicks away, it reaches away. There's a turning of the pelvis, the chest and the spine towards the right. As the foot comes up, onto 2 sit bones, push the foot away, allow the spiral to happen to the right. Good. Come back to centre. Won't do too many because it's not actually the focus of the lesson today. Have the stick resting on the other thigh, bottom of the stick pointing away from you. And then just see, can you bring your right foot to rest on the stick? Now again, just doing that might be sufficient work today for that for you or for that leg. But if you can, keep the foot resting on the stick, and then begin to slide the foot up and then away, kicking the heel away from you, pushing the heel away. You'll feel something very interesting happening in your hip as you flex the heel away, just coming up, pushing the heel and down, pushing the heel away, allowing the foot to slide up, and as it kicks away, can you allow that shift of weight through the pelvis, the spiralling up through the spine as you kick the heel away. Let's just do 2 more. It's a lovely, lovely way of waking up all those hip muscles. Feel that, and away. Good. And then leave that alone. Just notice how the feet feel. Good. And then bring the stick into your middle, and have both hands just resting comfortably on the stick. And then see, can you begin to walk your feet around to the right, but you're keeping the arms fairly straight, your chest square to the front, come back to centre. And then can you walk the feet to the left? So shoulders stay turned to the front, walking the feet to the left, and then come back. Once more to the right, good, and then come back to centre, and then once to the left, good, and then come back to centre, good, and then pause, and then do you remember the arching and curling? So you have the hands about chest height on the stick, and then you begin to look down at the bottom of the stick, but rounding the back to do that, and then arching the back to look at the top of the stick. So you're rounding the back to look at the bottom of the stick, arching the back to look at the top of the stick. You remember, the initial thing is to try and keep your outer shoulder over your outer hip, so it's not displacing the shoulders forward and backwards. You're trying to use the back to help you. Now, pause as you are, and then turn your face to look to your right, and stay looking to your right. And then could you begin to round the back as if you're bringing your left ear to the floor, and then arch the back, still looking to the right. So rounding as if you're looking underneath your right armpit, arching the back to look over, as if to look over the right shoulder. Rounding, keeping the head turned to the right all the time. Good. Pause, come back to centre, and then turn the face to look to the left and keep it there. So you keep the face looking to the left, and see here, can you round the back as if you wanted to try and peek underneath your left armpit, and then you're arching the back as if you wanted to look over the left shoulder. Rounding, good, and arching, keeping the head turned to look to the left. Rounding, good, and arching, good. And then come back to the centre with the head and eyes, and then begin to do our arch and curl wave sequence. So you arch the back to look forward, begin to reach the stick forward, lower the head between the upper arms, and begin to pull in your tummy, pull in your chest, pull in your ribs. So you land back on the chair in the rounded position, and then you arch to go forward, pull in the tummy to come back, arching to go forward, pull in the tummy to come back, and then once more, and then let's reverse this. So you round to go forward, arch to come back, rounding to go forward, arching to come back, good, and then once more, rounding to go forward, arching to come back, good. And then have both hands on the stick. Make sure the bottom of the stick isn't now too close to the feet, that it's away from you. And then think about making two-handed paella. So big paella. And the meditation here is to see how soft can you keep your hands and elbows, good. And then just reverse these circles, so that you're really, it's your middle that's creating these circles, you're rounding and arching, good. Pause and shift the stick so it's off centre somewhere to the other side, and do about 3 enormous paella stirrings over here, good. And then just reverse the direction of those circles. Good. And then pause. So do you remember we were practicing coming to stand, and I'll just remind you of the basics really. So I'll turn to the side. So here we are sitting on the chair, and your head is over your pelvis, which means that your weight is in the chair, not in the feet. And you know that's true because you can easily lift the front of the feet. So, and then what we want to do, arch and reach forward until your head follows the stick and has gone beyond the knees. And then your weight will be in the feet, and you'll know that's true because you can't possibly lift the feet, and then come back to the starting position. So we're just going, so you're arching first, going forward, reaching forward, all the time reaching forward, 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 until the weight comes into the feet, and then come back to centre. Now, just a quick reminder, 2 important points is if you're trying to come up to stand and your knees tend to roll in, you just have to be very careful. Think of pressing down into the little toe side of the feet, because you don't want this to happen. It's a very good way of damaging your knee in the long term. And then the other thing to remember is to think of just slightly pushing into the feet as we go forward. So you push into the feet, arch the back, and begin to reach forward. The stick is always going away from you, and then you come back. So you're never pulling the stick towards you, it's always going away. So once more, see if you can go forward, 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 and then find the moment when the weight is in the feet, and then think of your bottom coming straight forward to come up to standing. Good. And then to go back down, don't think of going down, think of going forward. Forward, 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 to land back on the seat of the chair. Great. So once more, think of pushing into the feet, arching the back, and reach forward. Always have the stick going away from you. So you feel, the weight is in the feet, and then the bottom comes straight forward. Give it a good squeeze for good measure, and then to go back down, think of going forward. Head goes forward, stick goes forward, the arms are going forward, and then you find the seat of the chair. Good. Now pause for a moment, just so you can have a look. So I just want you to, so again, I'll just show you this. I'm going to ask you to go forward again until your bottom lifts up, but we're not coming completely to stand. So like the bottom is about 1 inch or so off the chair. See if you can stay here, and once more round the back to look underneath yourself. Arch the back to look up. Rounding to look underneath yourself, arching to go back. So when you arch, it's as though your tailbone is lifting up, the back of the head and the tailbone are going together, arching and rounding, and then we'll come back. So it's quite a challenge, but great exercise for your back. So let's try that together. So starts pretty much in the same way. So you arch, push into the feet, begin to go forward as if you're coming to stand till your bottom is 1 inch or so away from the seat of the chair. Stay there and see, can you round the back to look under between the legs, arch the back to look to the top of the stick, tailbone lifting, rounding to look underneath yourself, arching to look up, rounding to look underneath yourself, arching to look up, and then come back to centre. Quite a tough exercise. Good. And then we're just going to complicate it a little bit more. So again, I'm going to ask you to turn the head to look to the right. You arch to go forward. Good. And then you stay in the same position, and then round the back to look underneath your right armpit. Arch the back as if you wanted to see your tailbone. Rounding to look underneath yourself. Arching to see the tailbone. Rounding to look underneath the armpit, arching to look to the tailbone. come back to the seat of the chair. Good. And then let's do that to the other side. So you turn the face to look to the left, keep it looking to the left, arch to go forward, and then you stay with the bottom an inch or so off the chair, and then you round to look as if you wanted to look underneath your left armpit, arching to look over the shoulder, rounding to look underneath yourself, arching to look over the shoulder, then rounding to look underneath yourself, arching to look over the shoulder. Good. And then come back to centre. Good. And then once you've come back to centre, just do a few of our rounding and arching. Rounding and arching. Good. Good. And then pause and then just do a few circles again. Good. And then just reverse. Good. And then pause, bring the stick down. And then with the hands resting on the thighs, just see what's it like to bring the weight onto one side and then onto the other side. Good. And then slide the hands down the lower legs towards the floor, letting the head go, and then come back up. Good. Once more, lowering the head, sliding the hands down, and then come back up. Good. Just notice how you feel, and then give yourself a clap. Well done, everybody, for quite a tough class. So, theme today is working on back extension to help strengthen some of those important back muscles. Hope you enjoyed the class. We've got one more next week. Just a reminder, we have the workshop at Wing Village Hall this Saturday coming up. It's very exciting. And the book, hopefully, I've got the proofs back. Got to go through them. Hopefully in a couple of weeks' time, they're all ready to publish. Thank you very much.